Hello and welcome. Welcome back to the Landlord Experience. Chris here, and today we are going to be talking about buying your first investment property. So by now you should have all your finances in order. You should have a nice little nest egg stashed away. If not, refer back to my last video and check that out. Talk about going over your finances and different ways to save money and kind of build up a nest egg for your down payment on your first rental property. So assuming you got that done, let's get into it. Let's get that first property. So today I wanted to go over a couple steps for when you're starting to look for your first property. So a couple things to start out with. Number one would be, what is your budget? You got to know, can you spend $100,000? Can you spend $500,000? This will help a lot when trying to narrow down your searches or when you're working with an agent. And it's good to know what kind of a loans that you qualify for, because you don't want to spend time and or money researching and looking into a property to find out, oh, I don't even qualify for a loan to buy this property. There's kind of a sub step one, so we'll go 1-A. You also got to know what kind of loan you are looking to get. A standard conventional loan is 5% down, so that can kind of affect your budget as well. If you're looking to put 5% down on a house and you have $10,000, then you're probably not going to want to go over $200,000, because 5% down on $200,000 would be $10,000. So also there's FHA loans, which is first time home buyer. That's what I did on my first property, and it's 3.5% down. So that saves you a little bit on the front end as far as down payment. My properties are all multifamily, which means it's not a single owner occupied house. So usually for a investment style property, the banks require 20 to 25% down on something like that. Now that's if it is strictly an investment property and you yourself are not going to be occupying one of the units. When I bought my first property, which was a duplex, so 2 units, I was going to live in one of the units. So I was going to do an FHA 3.5% down. If I was not going to be living in it, I would have had to do 20 to 25% down. That's a humongous difference. So you need to figure out what kind of loans, what you want to do, and what you are qualified for. Kind of, I guess, step 1B also would be, what type of property are you looking to get? Do you want to stick to single family? Do you want to just buy a 2 or 3 bedroom house and maybe live in it for a couple months and then rent it out? Or do you want to buy it strictly as a rental? Do you want to get into multifamily, which would be duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, small apartments? So just narrowing that down will help, because there's so many properties out there, and just kind of knowing what you want will help narrow down your search and be a lot more effective in hunting. As far as my thoughts and feelings on the single family versus multifamily, a couple of my mentors are different. One of them is more focused on single family homes, renting some of them, fixing and flipping them. My other mentor, he has built all multifamily, townhouse, condos, apartment complexes. So he's a big fan of the multifamily. That is the route that I took. It just made more sense to me. If you think about it, so right now I own 2 properties, I have 2 mortgages, but I have 6 rent checks coming in, because one property has 2 units, the other property has 4 units. Say if I bought 2 properties, but they were single family homes, I have 2 properties, 2 mortgages, and 2 rent checks coming in. If half of those people do not pay, then I'm paying a whole mortgage out of my own pocket. With my properties now, I have 2 mortgages, 6 rent checks coming in. If half of those people don't pay, I can still pretty much cover both mortgages. So that's a kind of a thing to take into consideration. Can you afford, if someone does not pay the mortgage, to pay it yourself? So the multifamily, it's easier. You have more people paying on the mortgage. So if someone doesn't pay or someone moves out, you have a unit empty for a little bit, it doesn't affect you as much. Step 2 in finding your first rental property. I would say finding your location that you want to have your rental properties. That's going to be very key also for your budget. Certain areas are a lot more expensive, some are cheaper. So I started in a more lower income area with cheaper properties, because really it doesn't matter how much the property costs. What you're looking at is your margins. How much are you going to make each month off this? So you could have a $400,000 property or a $100,000 property, but if they both profit $400 a month, it's no difference, except you had to pay and risk a lot more to get the $400,000 versus the $100,000. But yeah, so get your area kind of figured out. Also with the area, you have to think of where you live and work at. Right now, I'm actually probably not doing the best job at that. So where I live, work is about 40 minutes away, and my properties are about 45 minutes the other way. So I kind of live right in between both. So if I'm going to work or to the properties, or some days I do both, that turns out to be like 3 hours of driving. So you have to remember these are going to be a rental property. You are going to have to be present, whether it's mowing the lawn, fixing a sink, collecting rent, moving someone in. You're going to want to be able to be there quickly. 2 a.m. water line breaks, you're going to want to be there. So take that into consideration. So for location, it's price and proximity. Is it within your budget, that location, and is it close enough to where you're not going to kill yourself driving back and forth all the time? Okay, the third and final step here is going to be to find an agent in your area. The real estate market is huge. There is a ton of properties out there, and there's a lot that beginners, especially like me, I had no clue about anything. So finding an agent in your location is very key. I happened to find a family friend who was a real estate agent where I was looking to invest. I kind of told him what I was looking for, my budget. So my budget was probably around $150,000, right around there. I wanted to do the FHA loan, so 3.5% down, and I knew I wanted multifamily. So I gave him all of that, and he was sending me lists of all the properties in my area that met all of my criteria. Really easy. You can also look on your own if you have a lot of free time, or just if you want to look. You can go on Zillow, you can even go on Craigslist, even just go into Google and type in duplexes for sale in such and such city, or multifamily for sale, investment properties for sale, and just a ton of sites pop up. There is a lot of online resources, but having an agent who really knows the area just helps out a lot, and that is their job. So they are professionals at finding properties, so I would highly recommend that. Okay, so with those 3 steps now, I think you are ready to get out there and start looking. So go over the 3 steps, figure out what your budget is, what type of a loan you want to do, what type of a property do you want to buy, what area do you want it to be in, and do you know someone? I know a lot of people, you probably know a real estate agent somewhere. So get in contact with someone, give them all your information, and let them do all the work for you. Let them bring in some properties and then start going over them. So next video, we'll kind of go more in depth of just when you have a list of properties, how can you go through and pick what one is the better deal, what one should I go with, what one fits my criteria better, a lot of things that we'll go over in the next video. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give me a like, subscribe, comment, questions, whatever you want, leave it down below, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.